Hi everyone, welcome to Power Semiconductor Drives lecture series. This is lecture number 13. In the previous lecture, we covered CSA fed induction motor drives and also cycloconverter fed induction motor drives. These all are stator side speed control methods to control the speed of an induction motor. Whereas today's lecture, we will see the rotor side speed control methods. But these rotor side speed control methods are applicable only for slip ring induction motor, whereas stator side speed control methods are applicable for both slip ring induction motor and squirrel cage induction motor. In this lecture, we will cover introduction part of rotor side induction motor and the conventional rotor resistance control method and also static rotor resistance control method. Basically, rotor speed control methods are classified into three types: conventional rotor resistance control method, static rotor resistance control method, and slip power recovery control method. Conventional method is nothing but a old and traditional method. External resistance, we are varying the speed of the induction motor. It is a mechanical control method. Whereas static rotor resistance control method is nothing but by using a power electronic device or by using a choker, we can easily control the variation of the resistance. With that, we can easily control the speed of the induction motor. And the third one is slip power recovery scheme. Across the terminals of a rotor, we are easily available of slip power. In above the two cases, the slip power is wasted in terms of heat because we are using the resistance to control the speed of the induction motor. That means we are wasting the power in terms of heat across the terminal. Whereas in slip power recovery scheme, this slip power is returned back to the supply. From the supply again we are taking the slip power. Like this, we are recycling the slip power, so there is no wastage of energy here. That's why slip power recovery scheme is very effective method to control the speed of the induction motor. Coming to the rotor side speed control methods, it has a main feature is that slip power is easily available across the slip rings. With that, we can easily control the speed of the induction motor by using electronic devices. That is, by using a microcontroller, we can smoothly control the speed of the induction motor. And coming to the applications, here the main control scheme is slip power recovery scheme. It is very important and very smooth control of SRIR. That's why the application point of view, if you focus the application of slip power recovery drives, it is mainly used in wind energy system for variable speed and also to store large capacity of energy, and also in shipboard variable speed constant frequency systems, and also it is useful in utility flywheel storage systems, and finally it is useful in variable speed hydropower generations also. These are some of the applications of slip power recovery scheme. Now we move on to the first method, that is conventional rotor resistance control method. Here an additional resistance is connected to the rotor terminal. We know that the torque developed is proportional to slip is E2 square R2 by R2 square plus S X2 whole square. So here the motor is operating at low slip region. That's why we are neglecting S X2 whole square when comparing with R2 square. Then the torque equation becomes S by R2. Because the machine is operating at low slip region, that's why the torque equation depends upon the ratio of slip by rotor resistance. Now, if you are trying to increase the rotor resistance R2, then torque will automatically decreases. But to maintain a constant torque, to reach the demand, we should maintain a constant torque. For that, what we will do is, we will again increase the slip value. But with the increasing of slip value, the rotor speed will decreases. So that's why we are using an additional resistance to the rotor terminal. Other than the rotor resistance, we are using an external resistance to the rotor terminal to control the speed of the induction motor. Now we will see the circuit diagram. This is the circuit diagram of rotor speed control method. Here you can see R2, R2, R2. Rotor terminals are connected to the equal resistances R2. By varying the R2, you can easily control the speed of the induction motor. And also you can see the speed and torque characteristics here. Here small r2 indicates the rotor resistance, actual rotor resistance, whereas r2 dash and r2 double dash is nothing but a different resistance due to r2. If you see the top speed characteristics, the maximum torque is maintaining always constant with a different starting torques. And also if you look at the speed and current, stator currents also, you can see at a different resistance values. Here the relation will be r2 triple dash is greater than r2 dash, and it is greater than R2 dash, and it is greater than R2. The resistance values are varying here. With that variation of different resistance values, we are getting different starting currents also. Stator currents also different here. So there is nothing but the speed, torque characteristics and speed, stator characteristics. By varying the resistance, you can clearly observe that starting torques and starting currents are changing here. And this is nothing but some of the advantages and disadvantages of conventional method. First one is advantages. You can see absence of inrush currents, inrush starting current. So there is no inrush current in starting. And second one is availability of full rated torque at starting. And it also has good power factor and the cost is also low. Absence of line current harmonics. And fifth point is smooth and wide range of speed control, and it has a low cost. And seventh one is high torque to current ratio for wide range of speed control, even with starting and braking conditions also. So these are some of the advantages of conventional method for SRIM only. And the drawbacks: reduce efficiency because the slip energy is wasted in the rotor circuit resistance. This is a major drawback here. Here the wastage of energy is coming through the rotor resistance. That's why that is a major drawback here. Due to that, efficiency reduces. And the speed changes very widely with load variation. Speed will change very widely with load variation. That is one more drawback here. And third one is unbalance in voltage and current if rotor circuit resistance are not if you are trying to select different resistances, external resistances which are connected to the rotor terminal, then we are getting the unbalanced voltage and current values. That's why every time we have to cross check the selected external resistance will be in equal values. Otherwise, the unbalanced voltage and current will occur. So these are the applications of rotor resistance control scheme. Here, in this condition, in this control, we are getting a high torque to current ratio. So it is applicable for low power excavators and cranes, horse, etc. Next one is control of rotor resistance by chopper, or you can say static rotor resistance control. This is a circuit diagram. You see here SRIM, that is slip ring induction motor. Stator terminals are connected to a 3-phase supply and rotor terminals are connected to a bridge rectifier, and next it is connected to a DC link to produce a constant, almost a constant current to the chopper and a resistance. These two are connected in shunt with the remaining DC link terminals. By controlling the switch of the chopper, we can turn on and off the external resistance. If you are turning on the chopper switch, then resistance is short circuited. That means resistance value will be 0 here. And if you are turning off the switch, the chopper switch is off condition, then we are connecting the resistance value to the circuit. That means the resistance value will be on. The variation of resistance value will depend upon the turning on and off of the chopper switch. That means by controlling the duty cycle of this chopper, we can control the resistance value from 0 to maximum value, that is R value, easily controlled by using the chopper. So let us see the working operation. Here we already discussed that it is a very smooth variation when compared to conventional method. Here the external resistance are replaced with a 3-phase bridge diode rectifier and a chopper. And it is inefficient because here also the same problem. Slip energy is wasted in the rotor circuit. Energy is wasting through the resistance, external resistance. That's why this is an inefficient method. And third one is rotor circuit slip voltage is available across the slip. The slip voltage is rectified, and the slip voltage is rectified through diode bridge, and it is passed through a DC link. Through that DC link, we are producing almost a constant ID value, DC link current value through the chopper. Okay, then the chopper is periodically on and off, that is periodically connecting and disconnecting the resistance value. That means you can vary the duty cycle of the chopper. You can vary the resistance value from 0 to maximum value R value. Variation of resistance value depending upon the duty cycle of the chopper. We will see the analyzing part also. So this is the circuit diagram of working operation. If you turn on the switch, then it is a short circuit. The resistance value is 0, and the voltage across this terminal is 0 here. Okay, resistance value is 0. And when the chopper is in off condition, when the resistance is connected to the remaining circuit, then voltage value, you can observe the voltage value across the resistance also. Here the resistance value is R value. This is the output voltage waveforms and current waveforms. If you see the right side, we have a resistance waveform also. If chopper is in on condition, there is no resistance value. Similarly, the voltage across the resistance is 0 when chopper is in on condition, because when chopper is on means there is a short circuit occurred across the resistance terminal. That's why the resistance value is 0 and the voltage across the resistance is also 0. When the chopper is in off condition, the resistance is connected to the remaining bridge. That's why the complete resistance will occur across the terminals. And also the voltage across the terminals of the resistance is VDC. If you calculate the RMS value for this resistance waveform, then RMS value, effective resistance value between the terminal AB is nothing but R into 1 minus alpha. Alpha is nothing but the duty cycle T on by total time. So by varying the alpha value, you can easily vary the effective resistance, that is RMS value of effective resistance between the terminal AB. Similarly, you can write the RMS value of rotor current from the rotor current equation. If you write the rotor current I2 is equal to ID into square root of 2 by 3. From this, you can write ID. ID is nothing but the DC link current. ID is equal to root of 3 by 2 into I2. Power consumed by the effective resistance RE is ID square RE. That is, RE is nothing but R into 1 minus alpha. If you calculate total power consumed by the resistance terminal, including bridges and DC links, then we have to include that resistance value also. That's why the per phase power is nothing but 1 by 3 times of ID square into RD plus 1 minus alpha into R. RD plus 1 minus alpha into R. 1 minus alpha into R is nothing but the effective resistance across the terminal AB, whereas RD is nothing but the remaining resistance value. So total power, per phase power consumed by the resistance, rotor resistance. Now, if you replace the ID value with the previous equation, root of 3 by 2 into I2, then the equation becomes 1 by 3 into ID is nothing but root. Here the square times, so root will be eliminated. 3 by 2 into I2 square into RD plus 1 minus alpha into R. Now, if we cancel out the three values, and we will get the power value half into RD plus 1 minus alpha R into I2 square. So by comparing with power value, then the effective resistance per phase will occur as 0.5 into RD plus 1 minus alpha into R. This is the effective value of resistance per phase. And next one is the speed torque characteristics of static rotor resistance control method. That is, by varying the alpha value. Alpha is nothing but the duty cycle, which is varied from 0 to 1 value. That is, the torque speed characteristics will give the how the speed value is changing here. If you see here, alpha value is from 0 to 1 is a minimum value of alpha and maximum value of alpha. And alpha 1, alpha 2 are the different values selected between 0 to 1. And that maximum torque will not change in here. Maximum torque will not change in here. Always we are trying to maintain the maximum torque here with a different starting times. Likewise, we can control the speed of the induction motor. And the next one is closed loop speed control of static control method. It is mainly used to produce a good dynamic response for variable speed drives under low cost. And it is also improves the transient and steady state performances. And if you connect a capacitor across these resistance terminal, then we can change the speed control for a wide range with a high torque ranges also. This is a block diagram of closed loop speed control. Here the actual speed is controlled with a reference speed, and the error, with that error, a speed control will generate a signal to the current limiter to produce a current reference signal ID star. This ID star is compared with a DC link. With that error, a current controller will produces a signal for turning on and off of the IGBT device. So with that, we can vary the resistance value to operate the speed of the induction motor. These are advantages of static control method over conventional method. It is very fast, it gives very fast response and requires less maintenance, and it is a compact size. Smooth and stepless control is possible. Simple closed loop of control scheme, and rotor resistance remains balanced between the three phases for all the operating points. So these are the advantages of static control method when comparing with a conventional method. In the next upcoming sessions, we will see the slip power recovery scheme of SRI. It is a very important scheme. Here there is no wastage of power. All the powers are supplied back to the main terminals. That's why it is very effective and very efficient method to control the speed of the induction motor, especially SRIM. These methods are applicable only for SRI. In the next session, we will see how the slip power recovery scheme is applicable to SRIM.